everybody. I am so excited that you're here for our very last week of our Imagination Time Machine series. When we step into the Imagination Time Machine, we can go anywhere or any when. And for the last 3 weeks, we've been going back to Bible times to see what it's like to live in the Promised Land. But first, have you seen this really cool picture? I decided that I wanted to give it away, and a bunch of my friends said that they wanted it. I guess I really didn't think this through. Aha! I've got it! If I have one picture and 5 friends, I just need to... There! Now everybody wins, right? Oh, wait a second, I think I just realized something. Nobody wins. Some of my friends got a worthless piece of paper and my picture got ruined. There are some things, like this picture, that are a lot better when they're whole. And when things get torn apart, nobody wins. That's exactly what the Israelites learned in our story today. But the thing that got ripped into pieces was way more precious than some silly little bunny picture. Let's go take a look for ourselves.
Hello, everybody. My name is Max. I'll be your guide in the ITM. That stands for Imagination Time Machine. There are some rules you need to follow for a safe trip in the ITM. First, close your eyes when I tell you to, and don't open them until I tell you to. The ITM projects in the darkness. If you open your eyes, its projection system shuts down. Second, follow my imagination instructions closely so you don't get lost. I'm setting the imagination destination right now. Location, outside the walls of Jerusalem. Time, 9:30 BC. Alrighty then. This would be a good time to close your eyes and imagine you're rocketing through time and space. Brace yourself. We're coming in for a landing. Imagine the doors of the ITM open as you step out. Imagine you're standing outside of the walls of Jerusalem, the capital city of the Promised Land. It's a sunny day, but clouds are building on the horizon. What does this ancient city look like to you? What sort of sounds do you hear coming from Jerusalem? Can you feel the warm summer breeze blowing on your skin? Now imagine a man named Jeroboam walks out of the city gate. Jeroboam is one of King Solomon's officials, but he's not happy with the king. He's headed somewhere in a hurry, but then a man stops him. Quick, they're standing near a tree. Sneak behind it and listen to what they're saying. Jeroboam, my name is Ahijah. I am a prophet from God. He has a message for you. Imagine that the prophet takes off his coat and begins tearing it into 12 pieces. Can you see it? Imagine the sound of the tearing fabric. Now imagine that Ahijah the prophet hands Jeroboam 10 of the 12 pieces. King Solomon was wise in his youth, but now he worships false gods, and he encourages others to do the same. God has called him to turn away from his sin, but he refuses. So here is what God will do. These 12 pieces of fabric are like the 12 tribes of Israel. God is going to tear the 10 northern tribes away from Solomon's family and give them to you. When King Solomon hears about the prophecy, he flies into a rage. Imagine Jeroboam fleeing for his life toward the country of Egypt. He knows that if King Solomon ever catches him, he'll be dead meat. A short time later, though, King Solomon dies of old age. His son, Rehoboam, becomes the new king over the 12 tribes of Israel. Thinking that it's safe now, Jeroboam returns from Egypt to rejoin his family. Imagine the new king standing among the people of the 10 northern tribes as Jeroboam and the other tribal leaders approach him. Imagine Jeroboam kneeling before King Rehoboam out of respect. Shh, listen carefully. Jeroboam is saying something.
Your father, King Solomon, made us work hard. Too hard. If you treat us more kindly, the 10 northern tribes will serve you.
You think my father worked you hard? I'll work you even harder. You think my father beat you with whips? I'll beat you with bigger whips.
But the king's threats don't have their intended effect. The people of the 10 northern tribes can't believe their ears. Imagine as their faces turn angry. Imagine the sound as the crowd begins to murmur and shout their displeasure at the new king. Suddenly, the anger boils over, and people begin throwing stones at one of the king's henchmen. Imagine the sight and sound of rocks whizzing by. Imagine being in the crowd as it now rushes toward the king. King Rehoboam realizes that his cruelty has pushed the people too far and that his life is in danger. Picture the king running for his life as the angry crowd chases him. Can you hear the chaos? Imagine the king jumping into his chariot and racing away just before the crowd can get their hands on him and tear him apart. As the dust settles and calm returns, the 10 northern tribes choose Jeroboam as their new king. They call themselves Israel. Meanwhile, the 2 southern tribes remain loyal to King Rehoboam. They call themselves Judah. Ahijah's prophecy has come true. Just like the coat, God has torn a once great nation into pieces, and all because of Solomon's sin. Well, I think that does it. We best be getting back to the ITM. Imagine yourself stepping into the ITM one last time. Be sure to strap yourselves in. Destination, present day. We'll be arriving home in 3, 2, 1. You can open your eyes now.
In today's story, we saw 2 different people that sinned. King Solomon sinned by worshiping other gods, and King Solomon's son sinned by treating the people poorly. Their sins didn't just affect them. It affected everyone around them. In fact, their behavior tore the nation of Israel into 2 pieces. That's the thing about sin, is that most of the time it doesn't just hurt the person who's doing the sinning, it hurts the people that are around them too. One of the greatest gifts God has given us is community, a group of believers who help us follow Jesus. But just like we saw in today's story, sin can destroy community and tear friendships apart. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is Jenga. You've probably played before. The point of the game is for people to take turns removing blocks until the tower is so weak that it falls down. But today, we're going to pretend that this tower represents community and friendship. When all the blocks are here, the tower is pretty sturdy and it stands very strong. But imagine that sin creeps in and trust is broken and it starts to tear us apart. and we lose relationships, and we're not as unified as we used to be. The tower is not as strong, and it falls pretty easily. As you can see, each time there was a sin that broke trust in a relationship, the community got weaker and weaker until it fell apart. That's what sin does, is it destroys community and it breaks down relationships. In fact, that's what our Bible verse tells us about today. Let's take a look together. James 4:1. Why do you fight and argue among yourselves? Isn't it because of your sinful desires? They fight within you. But guess what? We all mess up sometimes. And if that happens, you know what we get to do? We get to go to the person that we might have hurt. And we get to ask them for their forgiveness. And when we say that we're sorry and we ask somebody for their forgiveness, that means we turn away from it and we don't do it again. Last week, Miss Vicky told us about something called repentance. And that's what this is. We apologize to the person that we have hurt and ask their forgiveness. And then we go to God and we tell him what we did. And we ask for his forgiveness. He always forgives us because he loves you so much. And that's all we have for this week. And I'm so excited to see you in our next series. All right.